Hi, I am Ren Dunning, and this is my fourth JavaScript progress vlog. And here, we'll just jump right in. Actually, I was on vacation in Canada in the Northeast for about a week, so I missed uploading a vlog last week, but I have one here for you today. But yeah, I was checking out colleges on the Northeast coast, and I really found my heart in Northeastern University, so I'm thinking about pursuing my computer science major at Northeastern. Anyway, let's jump right in. So here I was just working with arrow functions. It's not much different than just a regular function. The only difference is that you utilize this little fat arrow notation right here of the equal sign and then that greater than sign. And the point of this is that you don't have to use the word function. You don't have to use that keyword. And I mean, this isn't going to be used a whole lot. It's just important to know this notation for reading other people's code. So it's important that I have that skill in my tool belt, knowing what that is. Here, this doesn't actually run anything code-wise. I'm pretty sure I was just working with arrow function syntax. And you can see how I utilize 0 parameters, and then here I used 1 parameter, and then here I used 2 or more parameters. So that was just experiencing, I'm sorry, not experiencing. Well, yeah, experiencing with different types of parameters in arrow functions and different types of syntaxes. And then here I was just doing a review on the total unit of functions. You can see here I was just doing an example of each thing that I learned. Here I have a function declaration, where I'm just creating a function, and then I have parameters where I'm working with parameters, and then the parameters are that width and that height, and then I'm multiplying those. And then I demonstrated a function call, and then I have function expressions, and I'm working with that right here, and then I have that return keyword, and then here I'm working with that arrow function notation I just spoke about, and then I have a single line block and then a multiple line block. So that was just some review. So we can head back. See, I like Code Academy. It's very good with learning, but as you go further through the course, it becomes harder to complete the course because you have to pay for the pro version, um, which I don't have right now. So I will never have this complete 100% course progress because even though I finished a lesson for functions, I wasn't able to do these projects and quizzes because they were only available for pro memberships. So while I did learn the lesson, I just didn't get that extra application for the projects and the quizzes. So I'm never gonna, unfortunately, never gonna see that 100% course progress, but I am learning the content. And then here with scope, you can also see that even though it says 33%, I did do the lesson, I just can't do those. So with scope, I learned about how you can access um, different variables throughout the program. Oh gosh, hang on. Oh no. Here, we'll go back. Oh, okay. It's because I'm on review. That's alright. We'll just go back. Yeah, so scope is about accessing different variables throughout the line of code and where I can access it in that block. So here you can see that I made a variable city equals New York City, and then I made a function about logging the city skyline, and in that function body I let the skyscraper equal Empire State Building and returned the stars over the skyscraper in the city, and then I console logged the log city skyline. So the parameters, the parentheses right here are necessary when calling the function, even if there are no parameters, because if I were to not have these, we'll run this and see what happens. I know it gives me some sort of error. Yeah, it runs function logs city skyline, and that's not what we're looking for. But then if I were to add those parentheses, even though there is no parameter, I just have to do that for formality reasons. And there it is. Go to the next one. So global scope refers to declaring a variable outside of the function body, and then you can um, use that variable in the function, and then it will remain the same if you were to write some code outside of that function body. The problem with this though is that it clutters up the global scope space, and that you have a lot of global variables that just get in the way. So if you can, the most efficient way to use scope is that you could declare your variables inside the function unless you absolutely need to access variables in other functions. So here outside I made these global variables and let satellite equal the moon, and let galaxy equal the Milky Way, and let stars equal North Star. And I had this function of call my night sky and return night sky plus satellite plus stars plus galaxy, and then I logged that. And here you can see it'll use those global variables that are outside the function. And then if I move to block scope, this is the opposite. So I'm declaring a variable inside the function body. So I have a function of log visible light waves, and then my constant light waves equals moonlight, and so then I can log it right there. But then once I go outside of the function body, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so it'll print right here, it'll print the moonlight because it's printing this function body. But then once we try to log it outside of the function, this variable doesn't exist outside of the function, it only exists within this block. So it'll say light waves is not defined because as far as they know, it doesn't exist. It only exists in this function. So that's block scope. So here we have an example of scope pollution. You can see that I made three variables, satellite, galaxy, and stars, and I made these two constants, and then this one is only a lit, it's not a constant, so that's kind of a sneak peek into what we'll be doing. And I set those equal to the moon, the Milky Way, and North Star. And then I had this function using arrow notation, and I reassigned stars equals Sirius, and then returned night sky plus satellite plus stars plus galaxy. And here you can see that when we log it outside of the function body, and that we're going to call my night sky and call the value of stars, it prints Sirius. So even though we reassign that within the function body, it's going to change the outside global variable. So if we were accidentally to not realize that we reassigned this, we could use this variable thinking that it should equal the North Star, and then it's not going to equal the North Star because we reassigned it, but we weren't aware that we did that. So now when you print it, it's going to show the value that you reassigned it to. So that could cause some issues with later on in the code and not coding what you thought you were. And so that's an example of scope pollution, so that you have to be really careful about where you put those variables and how you reassign them. And then here I have a constant of log visible light waves, and to let the light waves equal moonlight, let region equal the Arctic, and then if the region equals the Arctic, let light waves equal northern lights. So inside the function, I logged those light waves, and it equals northern lights within this body function. But once I go outside of the body function, it's going to equal moonlight, because only in this area did I reassign it. I added that let, and so it reassigns it as a true variable. It reassigns it to northern lights, and so in this function body, it's going to print northern lights, but then once I go outside, it's going to assume the original variable as moonlight. So that's good scoping, is that you can't forget that lit like we did in the last one. In the last one, we didn't put that lit, so we just changed the stars. And this is reassigning the same variable, and so yeah, that's why we had some confusion with calling it outside, and that it was keeping the value. So if that we have to keep that lit in there, and then we can accurately use scoping and block scope and global scope so that we get the correct variable expected. So that was my review on scope. And again, I wasn't able to complete the projects or the quizzes because they were the pro membership. And then lastly, I moved on to arrays. Okay, arrays. So it's a way of making a list inside a variable. So if I let the New Year's resolutions equal keep a journal, take a falconry class, and learn to juggle, and then we log those resolutions, it's going to print those as that array, that list that we made. So that's pretty simple. And then if we move on, it just went over creating an array. And here it tells you how you can have different data types in your array. It'll print the same and it'll work the same. So here again, I put my hobbies, coding, gaming, and reading, and then I log those hobbies, and then you can see it appeared as an array, a list. So here I learned about the index of arrays, and that arrays in JavaScript are zero indexed, so this first string right here would actually be referred to as index 0. So if you wanted to call this, you would have to call it as 0. If you wanted the second string, it would be called as 1. So that's something that you have to remember and keep in your tool belt, or else you might run into some issues. So I created a constant of famous sayings, and then I have these 3 sayings. And then if I list item equal famous sayings number 1, and then I console logged at list item 1, you can see that it didn't print the first index that I have. It printed the second one because it's 0 indexed. So you can see I have a joke is a very serious thing. So yeah, that was about accessing elements. And that was the last project I worked on. This has been a pretty long video, so I'll wrap it up. But yeah, this is my 4th JavaScript learning progress vlog. I've been having lots of fun progressing in JavaScript and learning about arrays and scopes and functions, and I'm making a lot of progress, and that 66 isn't true, but in my heart I feel that I'm making that progress, and I know I'm making that progress. So it's exciting to progress through, and I'm glad you're here for the journey, and I will have a video for you this next Friday. Alright, I'll see you then. Thank you for watching.